Fill it.
I drink your milkshake.
You are listening to the Billionaire Podcast Network.
Moving my bones, no place to rest. Travel the north just to find my head. I'm still corn-fed. Corn-fed. Moving my bones, no place to rest. Travel the north just to find my head. I'm still corn-fed.
And go. Okay, welcome. This is Lost in the Maze, number 7, the solo show, Lost in the Maze, only on the Billionaire Podcast Network. Ka-ching, bing, 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 fill her up. Yeah, this is the solo show I do for the Billionaire Podcast Network. This is the 7th one. And I'm enjoying the feedback I'm getting on these. Some people seem to actually really like these. I've gotten a lot of positive comments. People have reached out, left some comments on the YouTube channel saying that the solo shows are fun and that it's a rare and unique talent to be able to for one to be able to talk by oneself for an hour plus and be interesting. And I'm amazed that anyone is watching or listening to this because it feels psychotic. And it is. The origins of this are me spending a lot of time alone in a state of psychosis, talking to myself in different psych wards. So I've just gotten used to having conversations with myself. And I figure, why not record them and see if I can make a little money doing it? However that works, the YouTube page isn't like there yet where I can monetize. I don't think you can like start monetizing a YouTube page until you get to 1,000 subscribers. So everybody, please subscribe, spread the word. I'm alive. I'm doing cool, good podcasts over on the YouTube page, youtube.com/@cornfed with Dalton Pruitt, and more importantly, patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. That's where all the premium episodes are for the corn-fed show plus some other stuff. I might even do premium solo shows on there. I might do a little hour here, do another hour, put that bitch on the Patreon, baby. See if I can really flex my broadcasting muscles. I also picked up a lot from I grew up in like a kind of a conservative household, like Republican, or whatever you want to call it. So there was like I spent a lot of time as a kid like going on long car rides with my parents or even just in the house, and they would have AM radio playing, like not AM like in the morning, AM frequency, back when people still listened to AM radio and FM radio. On the AM frequency was where all the like conservative talk guys were. And regardless of what you think about these guys or their politics or whatever, it was always like we were always listening to guys. It was like guys like Rush Limbaugh, Michael Savage, Bill O'Reilly, Dr. Laura, Dave Ramsey. If it was really late, my favorite, the GOAT, Art Bell. From the great American South, from the high desert in the great American Southwest. This is Coast to Coast with Art Bell. And so I spent like countless hours listening to just like AM talk radio, and like those shows were always just some like alcoholic, red-faced, like conservative guy screaming into a microphone for hours and hours about commie pinkos ruining the country. And how even back then they were like, they want to raise the minimum wage. They just raised it to $7.25 an hour. and so they're still screaming about that same conversation, they're still having it now about how even since then the federal minimum wage hasn't increased, and they're still upset about it. um and I think that comes from, like, I don't even think that anyone at that level, like, I don't think people who have money or have succeeded want other people to not succeed for any sort of, like, monetary reason. Like, I don't think anyone truly believes that if we like canceled student loans or made anyone's lives easier, that it would, like, dig into their pocketbook in any real way. I think it's just that people in general, like humans in general, love suffering. They love the idea of people suffering, and are obsessed with, like, we have this like attachment to suffering, like to the point where, like, people, even the people who would benefit from, like, social programs, like any sort of, like, like government aid, they don't even want it. Like, they vote against their own best interests, along with the people in the higher tax brackets who are also voting against the interest of like lower income people, because I think everybody just wants there to be some amount of suffering. I think people are just attached to this idea that humans are meant to struggle and scrape and survive. And the reality is like a lot of the scarcity that we experience is probably, like, artificial. Like, there's probably enough resources and just, like, everything in place that life for most of you, at least in this country, like, life for most of us could probably be, like, pretty easy and comfortable. But why, who wants that? No, we're meant to be absolutely fucking miserable and get addicted to Oxycontin, and really, struggle and suffer, and then die, and be, not be able to, in a place where we can even leave our families anything, or even the sweet release of death is a continued burden on one's own family. That's that, like, ain't that America? Like, that's the America we all vote for. That's what we want. It is just total abject suffering. Because I don't think, like, if you're like a multi-millionaire, extremely wealthy guy, and, like, I don't think that if there was any sort of government assistance programs put in place to help lower income people across the board, whether it's like student loans or free food or whatever, like, I don't think it would, like, hurt your bottom line too much. I think what people want more than anything is for people to just continue struggling and suffering, because that's just what we are. We as a people, we kind of thrive on seeing other people suffer it. And there's definitely, especially, like, if you've suffered yourself and gotten yourself out of it, um some people come out of that with and enter into, like, a place of empathy where they look at others and go, I don't ever want anyone to have to deal with what I went through. Like, I'm more than willing to help out, and I hope that people can get the help they need. And then there's other people who work their asses off and succeed, and then say, I'll be fucking goddamned if anyone gets a goddamn handout. I want people to really fucking bleed the way I did. And that's the overall mindset for everything, is everybody wants to see blood. And I think it just goes to that thing where there's a hierarchy for humanity, where we always need someone to look down on to make us feel better about ourselves at every level. So, you know, if you're a millionaire, you get to look down on the middle class. If you're middle class, you get to look down on the lower class. If you're lower class, you get to look down on the homeless. And then if you're homeless, that's like a whole other realm where, like, that's a whole other civilization of people, where it's like if you're homeless and you get to go to a state hospital for a few weeks, you get to, laugh and wag your finger at the people who are still on the streets. Um, or if if you get, it's a whole, and then that's everybody here in this country. And then we always have the people overseas we can look to and say, oh, well, I mean, fuck, dude, it sucks for being here, but I mean, look at what's going on over in, Syria and Palestine and all that. So there's always like someone to look at who is suffering more than you are that can make you feel better about your lot in life. And so the idea of like the government helping in any way to pull people out of these situations would ease the suffering of a lot of people and pull us out of that sort of that hierarchy, where everybody's looking down at one another. It would level the playing field too much. And so I think that's where that attitude comes from most of the time when people talk about how they don't want minimum wage increases or they don't want a 32-hour work week. People working 32 hours getting paid the same as the 40-hour work week, like all that. Anything that would make anyone's life better. Nobody wants that because you know, we just want to see other people struggle and bleed. Um and and it's this very like Puritan biblical attitude, like why the fuck should anyone's life be easy? And I don't have an answer. Why isn't life easy, right? Like so much of like the scarcity we experience is like completely made up. It's like just everything being bottlenecked by the people in charge, like corporation. I don't know. Maybe I'm not qualified to talk about all this. Like I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about when I talk about most things, but it just seems like a lot of what we would say is like scarcity is just this artificial thing so that we can keep the like these class structures in place, so that for what so we can hold on to like whatever this like weird feudal system is that we've had forever. um and who knows what the future holds. But how do I get off on all that? Oh yeah, conservative talk radio. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so people, the response to these solo shows have been good, and that now I'm in my own head about it because like, oh, so people are enjoying this now, so now I'm worried about how am I going to fuck this up for the people who like it. What am I, now I can feel the eyes on me. I can feel that people are paying attention to this, and now I'm worried. Now I'm worried about what I'm doing. It's that thing where it's like, once you're like made aware of being watched, you change your behavior. It's sort of like I guess it's like atoms, like quantum physics, like the act of observing something changes its behaviors. And now that I know that these solo shows are being observed by people and liked and commented on, now my behavior changes along with that. And that's quantum physics. That's what they say. They just the mere act of observation changes the what is being observed at a subatomic level. And that's why they say a watched pot never boils, right? Just if you're watching the pot, looking at the water in the pot means it'll never boil, because the act of observing it is changing its behavior. um that's probably not true. I think if you set a burner on and put a pot of water on it, even if you're watching it, it'll probably boil at some point. It's just you from your perspective, it's taking longer because you're like waiting for you're just focused on the pot of water, waiting for it to boil. So it seems like it's taking forever. Whereas I think if you just put a pot of water down and walked away and did something else, you wouldn't even think about it. And then it's not until you start not until you hear the of the water overflowing that you go, oh shit, I forgot I had the pot on. And then you run over there and turn the burner down. So that's physics. And then that, that kind of begs the question that when we say that the act of observing something changes its behavior, is the behavior of the thing being observed actually changing, or is our perspective changing? You know what I mean? Like from our perspective, like the act of observing a thing or a person or whatever, we notice that there's some sort of change happening, but is that actually in reality? Is there a change happening, or is that just the way we're perceiving it in our minds? So is reality itself subjective to the person observing it? I guess is like the big question there. um like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? I guess is the whole point of that. um because yeah, I mean, what is reality when you think about it? It's we're all observing the world happen around us, and thinking about it, and making our own forming our own opinions on things, and sharing them with each other and communicating. But like reality as we know it is just based on each of our own observations and thoughts and the way we communicate those things with each other. But if we were not capable of actually communicating with each other in any way, if reality itself was subjective to each individual observer, and there was no method by which we could communicate what we were experiencing with one another, what would reality be at that point? There wouldn't be like a shared experience that we could all like, you know you, does this make this is not I don't know if this makes sense what I'm saying. This is I'm getting too lost in the maze on this one. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm getting too damn philosophical on this one. I've been reading too much philosophy, and these theories on language. You ever you ever study that? You ever study like you ever think about language, like how like language itself is how we sort of like manipulate reality, and like make sense of it, like just like fuck, it's this is so hard to even try and like bring into words. But like the idea that like language and communication is how we take like what we observe as reality, and then that all is like, happening in here, and then we try to put it into words to communicate it with each other. But then it's sort of it's like there's like a something gets lost in translation between like what's being observed and then what's happening in your brain, and then what's like being communicated. Like what's actually being communicated is an approximation of what was observed, and the what was observed is an approximation of the real thing. So you have like the real thing that just exists as it is, and then you have the observer. And so then like I observe it, goes into my brain, and then I think about it, and then I try to communicate this thing to other people. And so by the time I try to like communicate it, it's gone through like all these different levels of like it's getting filtered down into like whatever words I can try and sum it up as. And that's all, like something always gets lost there. And I guess that's language, I guess. I don't know. I've tried reading about this, and I'm not smart enough to really make sense of it all. I think that was like Noam Chomsky's like first, that was like his original thing, was like linguistics, before he became a like a geopolitical thought leader. Was he had this some sort of like philosophical treatise called syntactic structures, where he tries to like do the like calculus of language itself, and like break down how like what language is and how it works, and how like how you're supposed to utilize words and grammar and everything to like use language effectively. I tried reading it and I was like, damn, dude, this dude like turned words into math into words. I'm too stupid to fucking understand. Like that's the thing is I like always wanted to be smart. Like I've always tried to be smart in someone. Like I'll read books or try and like read up on stuff that I don't know about to see if I can learn stuff and get smarter and more knowledgeable. And I think like I gotta make peace with the fact that I'm a fucking moron. Like I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how anything works. And like I'm not good at anything. Like not even like you know the things that I've like worked hard to even be good at. Like I wouldn't say I'm like a particularly good writer or funny man or anything. Like I'm just like honestly just doing my best to keep my head above water most of the time. So I just feel like I'm really stupid and not like fit to really do anything in this world. But maybe I'm being too hard on myself. Maybe I'm more smarter and entertaining than I give myself credit for. I mean, I don't know. I've just made so many fucking mistakes. Like I've done the dumbest shit possible and like completely like fucked up my life and ruined the lives of my loved ones due to my own stupidity and unhinged mental illness that I just spend like every day now just wondering like I mean, how do you dig yourself out of this hole? And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's podcasting. I don't know, dude. Maybe it's figuring out some sort of grift or something. Like I think most people don't even realize like what anyone's capable of doing with the internet now. Like the whole digital space is, kind of where everything's headed, and so there's a lot of opportunities here in the digital world, which is kind of where the only place I exist right now. I'm just like a phantom on the internet. Like I don't, no one knows where I am. No one knows like if I'm alive or doing well or like what's going on with me. I just exist as this sort of digital phantom, like a Max Headroom type of guy. And then, hopefully, I guess as I continue to do this and things get better, I can pull myself out of the cyberspace and back into the real world. But for now, I'm just the ghost in the machine, as it were. Um, and it's fun. It's like it's feels like I'm immortal in a way. Like I just keep uploading things to the internet, and no matter what happens to me in my life, these whatever these are, these podcasts and all this stuff I'm doing will just exist forever. And I've effectively achieved immortality, which I like. I thinking about like immortality and all that. Like people for years now, people have been talking about like uh, like, rich people or whomever like uploading their consciousness to the cloud. Like that's been a topic of conversation for a long time. Is like this idea of mapping out your brain and who you are as a person, and then uploading that to the internet or some server somewhere as like a means to effectively become immortal. But what does that mean? Because it's like if I mapped out my brain and had it down to every last atom and who I am as a person now in this moment, and then uploaded that to the cloud, it wouldn't like would this version of me still exist? And then there's like another me in the cloud that is me, and it so that the thing in the cloud thinks it's me and has all me and my memories up to being uploaded into the cloud. So it's not like I've transferred myself into this other thing. I've made a copy of myself that now exists in the internet, that is like at that point it's its own entity, right? So it's not like I've taken like whatever's going on now and transferred it. I've just like made a copy of myself that then goes on to have like new and different experiences as like a digital version of like who I am. And so like that's not like immortality. That's just like creating a program or something. Like does that does that make sense? Like I don't know. I never understood like what that meant when they would talk about like you could upload yourself into the cloud where it's like well it sounds like what you're describing just sounds like a really complicated program that you're creating that is a program that thinks it's you that will then go on to be like have new like create new memories and experiences and live a different life as like a digital entity, and then the you that exists here in the flesh will still exist as this thing. And so then there'll be like a divergence where like whatever the digital version is just like a completely different thing at that point. Like I don't know what that like I don't know how that's like achieving immortality. That's just like creating a computer program, like a really complicated one. But that's not. Is that fuck? I'm out of my element here. Like I don't know enough about the brain or computers, but does that make sense to anyone? Like, did you ever watch that British sci-fi show Red Dwarf? It's this cool like British sci-fi comedy about it's like a guy who's like a repairman on a spaceship like in the 23rd 24th century, and he gets put into stasis because he smuggled a cat on board the ship without them knowing. So while he's in stasis there's a radiation leak on the ship. The ship is called the Red Dwarf, and so there's this radiation leak that kills everybody on the ship, but he's in stasis, and so like millions of years later he gets pulled out of stasis and everybody on the ship is dead. And the only other living organism on the ship is the cat he had smuggled on board, just through millions of years of evolution and inbreeding or whatever. There's like now a humanoid cat called Cat, played by a cool black guy. And then the ship's AI, this program called Holly, is able to bring back the sort of like the consciousness of one of the dead crew members as a hologram. So it brings back the main character's boss, this character called Rimmer, as a hologram. So the actual guy is still dead, but the hologram now exists as this um like this like hologram computer program that has all the memories and personality and everything as the actual guy, but it's a hologram. It's still like ones and zeros, you know. And so there's always like as the show goes on, there's all these like existential questions about like what is what does it mean to be this like hologram thing that he is, and is he alive? Is he dead? Does he exist? Does he actually think for himself, or is it just a computer program thinking for all that kind of stuff? And that's what the whole getting uploaded to the cloud makes me think of a sci-fi comedy show from the UK. um yeah, no, nobody even knows what nobody even knows what consciousness is still. That's what gets me is everybody's having all these conversations about AI and consciousness and uploading to immortality and blah blah blah, and it's like we don't even know what's going on in our minds, like what's going on in our brains. So when people talk about AI and Skynet and emerging consciousness, it's like, well, we can't even define like what it is that makes us conscious, like what's going on in our brains. So like like whatever's going on with AI and all that, if at any point like some computer program start showing signs of like what we think is consciousness, it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess you could call that artificial intelligence, but like what makes it artificial when we don't even know what's going on in our mind? It's like we're like prescribing this moniker to it, this idea, this like artificial, as how we would describe like some computer program that may be able to think for itself, but we don't. I mean, shit, we don't know. Are we actually thinking for ourselves? And then it goes back to what Descartes said, Rene Descartes. I think, therefore I am. So if I think, me Dalton, if I think, therefore I am, and if at any point chat GPT started getting all philosophical and thinking for itself, it's like, by that same definition, chat GPT thinks, therefore it is. And so is that, I mean, is that artificial, or is that just like a new form of consciousness? You know what I mean? Like, we like to think that we're the real deal, like flesh and blood, like this is the original thing, and all this other stuff is artificial. But what if it's all just kind of the same thing? Like, this, like, whatever this emerging consciousness it's just another version, another form of consciousness. It's not necessarily like organic or artificial or any of that. It's just another version of what we think is consciousness. But even then, we don't even know what consciousness is. So, like, like, yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going on? Like, I mean, right, and especially like right now, like the whole concept of like what we think of as AI, like artificial intelligence, Chat GPT, and all that, is kind of a misnomer, because it's not AI. It's just another like complex algorithm that's pulling from like all the information on the internet to create responses to questions, and write resumes for people that are too lazy to write them themselves, and do other, like, it's not it's not an autonomous uh complex form of consciousness or anything. It's just another sort of computer program. Fuck, dude, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm too fucking stupid to understand any of this. I was never a good student. I didn't study well. I relied on too much on what was it. If I had Chat GPT now, that like that, I I would learn nothing in school, because I would just use that. But even when I was in school, it was just like I would just use the internet to do most of the work for me, and I didn't fucking learn anything. Like, I don't really know anything. My degree is worthless, because I like Google and Wikipedia and all these different websites are responsible for like 70% of me getting that degree, and then the other 30% is me just pulling an essay out of my ass the night before it was due. So I never worked hard, and I never studied hard, and I went for like the easiest major I could get, which is English, and a lot of fucking good that did me, because now I'm like, I'm $400,000 in debt, I'm homeless, and I'm doing dumbass fucking podcasts instead of doing anything worthwhile in this world. So, don't like don't waste your time with college, everybody. Just like, go learn a trade, or I'll ride the rails, or do anything other than go waste your time on some fancy fucking big university, especially like with an English degree, because like you get in these English programs, like you go to all these different writing classes, whether it's like fiction or short story or poetry, nonfiction, and all your professors in those programs are just people who are themselves trying to get something published. And so this is like, for them, being a professor is like their day job while they try to get a fucking book published. So they're not like terribly invested in this professor job. It's something they're doing while they try to achieve like their dream job of being a published author. So you're going into a class with some like dipshit PhD professor whose actual dream is to get a book published and get, number one on Amazon and get the Oprah's book club and go do like book tours and all that. But for right now, they're just suffering through this like professor gig. They have, I have to do this job that pays me $200,000 a year until I can, get my book published. And so they're not like terribly invested in actually like they're teaching anyone how to write and their students and all that. And also writing and creativity is not really something you can teach anybody. Like it's an innate talent that people either have or they don't. And if you have it, you can hone that skill and get better at it through just work and practice and just continuing to do it. But if you don't have that already in you, you're not gonna learn it in any college class. So you're gonna go into these classes and some professor is gonna assign you like, write a 10-page short story, and out of a class of like 18 people, there might be one person in there who's qualified to actually be writing anything, and then everybody else should be learning to code or should be like going to like welding school or something. But everybody wants to be an artist. They want to wear Newsies caps or bandanas like David Foster Wallace did. Get a bandana and write about how much being alive sucks, and then and then trick a bunch of women into having sex with you because you're so smart and artistic and you have a cool bandana. Um, yeah, English was such a fucking stupid goddamn major, and I got nothing to show for any of it. And now I've like fucked up my life so much. I have to reinvent myself as a fucking, I don't know, podcaster, broadcast. Like I don't even know what I'm doing. It's right now. It's October 8th, Sunday, October 8th. It's 5:39 a.m. I have not been able to sleep because I'm stupid and I had a midnight coffee. I don't know why I did that. I'm like endlessly exhausted these days. I'm so fucking tired all the time, and it's been that way ever since I had my brain accident. Like, I went through just months and months of just endless energy, feeling like I'm a super saiyan, and feeling invincible and euphoric. And then that ended, and now I just exist in like this eternal debilitating exhaustion. And I'm just feel like I got hit by a fucking truck all hours of the day. And then like every now and then I try to combat that with maybe a cup of coffee or something. And for some reason I thought it would be a good idea like to have a coffee at midnight. And I'm such an addict, the way, I catch a little bit of a buzz from that first cup of Folgers that it's like, well, I'm gonna drink the whole fucking pot now. And so now and then I just can't sleep. So I beat off twice. I've drained all the cum out of my balls. I got nothing left there. Um, there's nothing left to watch on any of the streaming platforms. I've gone through all the entertainment I like. I can't focus on a book anymore. I haven't read a book in like a year and a half. I can't read anymore. I'm too stupid or too fidgety to read nowadays. And so it's like, well, maybe I'll just fire up the Zoom, the webcam, and do a podcast because I drink too much goddamn Folgers. Um, which is one of the it's an okay coffee. It's I mean, I guess it's better than what I've been doing, which is crystals, instant coffee, which is usually my go-to. Are the dehydrated them crystals I like the Nescafe. The Nescafe is the best of the instant coffees. I've had the Folgers instant, and that one is really gross, but the Nescafe is decent. It's instant coffee is a whole other realm of coffee. The way you judge it is completely different than you would judge regular coffee. And so when it comes to instant, I would say the Nescafe is the most tolerable. But none of it's good. It's just quick and easy. You put a cup of water in the microwave for like 40 seconds, stir in as many crystals as you want. You can really make you can make just a diarrhea soup if you want, just something you drink it and you have instant diarrhea because it's way too much coffee for one cup, and that's usually what I do. But I was out of instant, so I brewed a pot of Folgers coffee. I drank 1 cup over ice, and then I felt that little jolt, that initial buzz, and I said, "Well, you know, it's time to drink the entire fucking pot." And then I just couldn't sleep. Um, and so I'm just buzzing. And I drank it with like a ton of like also a lot of milk and heavy cream. So it's just ruining my guts. I've had 2 dumps already from that because I also ate a big plate of buffalo wings to go with it. I'm not kind to my innards. I never have been. And I know like I guess as you get older you're supposed to be more mindful of what you put in your body, but I'm of the mind that if you just keep treating your body the way you've always treated it and just keep going hard in the paint, you adapt, and you essentially just get used to never doing anything good for your body, and then live forever essentially. Like everyone in my family it just treats their bodies like dog shit, like whether it's alcohol or cigarettes or coffee or just like all the bad things you could do to yourself. And like all the men in my family who get to like 60 or 70, they have those like just perpetually red faces from all the drinking, and they still drink like night after night, just like 18 beers a night, and they don't die. They don't die. They get into their 60s, 70s, 80s and spend a good 30 years telling themselves like I'm going to be dead any day now. Like I hope you guys are ready for when I shuffle off this mortal coil. And it just never happens. They just don't die. And that's the way my whole family on my dad's side is, at least. Like I remember my grandmother, she passed away when she was 90. And there was a good probably like 25 years that my family spent convinced that she'll be gone any day now. For just 25 years, it's she's not long for this world. Any day now. Any day she's gonna leave this earth. And then that just continued for a good 20 to 25 years. As they're moving her from an apartment to an assisted living home, and then the assisted living home to a nursing home, is any day now she'll be dead. And then it just didn't happen for 25 years, and then finally, like when she was 90, she finally died, and everybody was like really sad. And I was like, well, you guys were writing her death certificate when she was fucking 70. So like it seems, I don't understand like why like now, oh, it's really sad now. It's like, well, it seems like you guys were ready for her to go like 20 years ago. But you know yeah, I don't know. That's my family, is people who live forever and are miserable every fucking second of it. They live long lives where they could do awesome things and love one another and be charitable and generous and go on fun trips and make good memories, but they just spend it eternally fucking miserable, and they don't die. Like no one dies. They're just miserable until they're 90, and then they finally die. And it's like, for what? Like why did you live that long? What was the point of living that long if you're going to spend every waking moment of your fucking life absolutely goddamn fucking miserable? Um and then meanwhile, all the people who seem to really love life and get to go do cool and fun things, they drop dead way before anybody wants them to. It's fucking sucks. Henry Kissinger just turned 100. That guy gets to live to 100, but Prince dies before he's 70. It sucks. But that's the way she goes, and that's why I don't understand why anybody is particularly interested in longevity, because like what's the point of longevity if you're just gonna be fucking miserable the entire time? Like if you're counting calories and taking all these vitamins and like really obsessing over living longer and longer. Is like, well, how is that enjoyable? I'd rather fucking smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day, go to a Chinese buffet, drink 12 Coca-Colas a day, you know, play video games for 12 hours, have a good ass time, and then, check out in my 50s, because that's more enjoyable than living to 100 and just like obsessing over my health so I can live long for no reason, just for the sake of living a long time to say that I did it. Um, yeah, I'm not like I'm not too, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even here for that right now. I haven't really had a good time in a while. I've been pretty miserable, and I'm also very unhealthy, so I'm getting the worst of all of it. But hope springs eternal. It is always darkest before the dawn. Dawn dish soap. Dawn from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Remember Dawn from Buffy? Michelle Trachtenberg, big Jewish titties. Um, it was I think in season 5 they did this cool thing in season 5 of Buffy where uh they introduced the character Dawn, but the way she's brought into the episode is as though it's as though she's been a part of the show the entire time. Like all the characters know her and know like who she is, and she has like this backstory, this history with every character. And so you're like watching the show, and there's this new character, Dawn, and you're like, who the fuck is this? Like all the characters are acting like they know this bitch, and I've never seen this character before. Did I miss something in the 4 seasons leading up to this? And so like throughout the season, there's just this new character, Dawn, who's Buffy's sister, that's just always been there. That you like, we never, the audience is just now finding out about. But then come to find out later in the season that she was created by the main villain of that season, and the villain had implanted all these memories in the characters' minds. And so that's why all the characters knew her and loved her as a family member, and as the audience we had no fucking clue who she was. But then from that, she was a main character of the show going forward after that. And then I don't know if anyone actually liked her as far as like the audience went. I don't know if the reception for Dawn was positive, but Michelle Trachtenberg was definitely, if you were a boy at that time, like myself, that age, that was a big, them big Jewish tits on her was a big deal. Um, and I think I can say this because I think she's older than me. How old is? Let me look that up. How old is Michelle Trachtenberg? Let's take a look here. Okay. Oh, 37. Old bitch. Old as hell, dude. Okay. Let's see. What does she look like now? She still got it going? She still. No. No, she's not aged well. Not at all. Yeah, she hit the wall. It looks like she's probably got a lot of work done in her face, to some effort to make herself look younger, but now she just looks spooky. She's got that sort of like dead look in her face where it's like you can tell she's old, but she's trying to not be old. It's always a futile effort. It just kind of highlights how much someone's aging in a weird way, where it's like an effort to look younger, but it actually just highlights all the things that are aging, and just makes everyone realize like, oh, she's aging and she's insecure about it. So yeah, that's what. Oh, but she is thick now. She put on some weight. Ooh, I like that. I like that. All right, well, yeah, so that's always darkest before the dawn. Speaking of, what's going so I don't I'm not qualified to speak on geopolitics, but it looks like shit's really popping off in the West Bank, Gaza. Palestinians are moving into Israel and fucking up some sort of EDM festival. Everybody's just on drugs, listening to dance music, just getting fucking obliterated by Hamas. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on over there. Some people say it's it's complex. Other people say it's not complex at all, and I'm of the mind that it's I don't know the history. I didn't even realize that Israel has not even old. It's not like an ancient place necessarily. I just found out that the Israel that we know, as we know it, was founded in 1947. So I thought it was like from the Bible. Like I just thought it was maybe I like I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means when they say that Israel was created in 1947. I don't know what that means because like there's they talk about Israel in the Bible, so it's always been there, right? So how is it that the country of Israel has only existed since 47? I don't know what that means. But I guess like the actual country of Israel as we know it has only existed since 1947, and so like I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know how that works. I don't know how it's like okay now this is now Israel, and now there's like this other Palestine is another thing, and it's just a bunch of people who all look like each other squabbling and fighting with each other, and now all the the president and all the war machine and Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and BlackRock, they're all fucking drooling because this is I guess this is another opportunity to somehow make a bunch of fucking money or do something. Like I don't know. um I'm like I'm so far removed from all, like my life is in such a bad place that it's like, oh cool, World War III might be happening. Well, that like it's like, well, that's not like my life sucks so much it's not really going to affect my quality of life at all. It's already like my life's already it's kind of the benefit of crashing and burning the way I have, where it's like, okay, well, World War III is breaking out. Well, this doesn't like I'm already at the lowest that anyone can be, so this doesn't affect me like that. Like nothing, no matter how bad things get, it's like, well, what can be taken from me at this point? Like, how much worse could my life get? It's like if you drop a fucking bomb directly on top of my head, you're doing me a favor at this point. So, have at it. I don't even know what Hamas is. I thought people were just mispronouncing the word hummus, but folks, no, I don't know what Hamas is. And I'm not even gonna read anything. I'm not gonna even try and do research on this. I'm gonna have hard and firm opinions based on absolutely nothing. I'm gonna take a hard stance on this at some point based on having done zero research and just who I find the most annoying on Twitter. Whoever I see that to me seems to be the most annoying people, I'll have whatever the opposite opinion of them. And so like as of based on that, as of right now, I'm kind of on the side of Palestine. Because it's like Joe Biden has tweeted his support of Israel, so it's like right there. I don't like him. I don't like that. I'm very skeptical of the fact that the presidential Twitter account is already, what I don't know what's going on there. Why is the U.S. siding with Israel? I'm not qualified to talk about any of this. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Look, folks. You got to go to the experts on this one. All right, like Mia Khalifa or Hotep Jesus or Zero HP Lovecraft. The big like Twitter thought leader accounts. Jordan B. Peterson. Ben Shapiro. I don't know, dude. It's I've never, yeah. It's one of the it's the Israel and Palestine is one of them things that I've been vaguely aware of my entire life that I've never made any effort to learn about. And I think my only knowledge of it comes from the movie You Don't Mess with the Zohan. That might be the only time I've ever learned anything about what's going on over there. That and I don't know, the Matrix. Like the underground human city in the Matrix was called Zion. And so when I first learned that there's like an actual Zion, I was like, oh, I guess I get it now. It's like the Jews are God's chosen people, and so I don't know. But my first introduction to even the concept of Zion was from the Matrix movies. So I'm definitely not like qualified to really have any thoughts or opinions on this. And maybe, yeah, maybe we'll all learn more about it in the coming days and weeks. And once the US starts funneling billions of dollars to support this fucking war, we'll all start reading up on it or listening to different podcasts about this. Um, yeah, I don't know. I know Jewish people who have gone to Israel on birthright. That's a cool thing. You get a free trip to Israel just if you're Jewish, and so that's a fun little way they propagandize people. Is like, we'll let you come to Israel for free, so we could teach you about Judaism and how cool being Jewish is, and all. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what the point of birthright is. Birthright seems like some method of propaganda, maybe, but I probably shouldn't start getting into any sort of like Jewish conspiracy talk. That's a dangerous place to go in any conversation, right? Conspiracies are fun. I love conspiracies, but once it starts getting into that, once you start like veering into like the Jewish territory with conspiracies, that's when it's like, okay, nope, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not doing that because I don't, that's why I have one of the first prints, like one of the first editions of the William Cooper book, Behold a Pale Horse, and I was like really getting into it. I was reading it and I was like, this is extremely my shit. Like, I love conspiracies and like wackadoo shit like this. And then the 15th chapter of that book is just the entire protocols of the Elders of Zion. Like, he didn't like, he just put it in the book. It's just the entire 15th chapter of this book is the protocols of the Elders of Zion. And that's where I was like, well, I'm done reading this. Like, okay, I didn't know that it was going to this place. Because that's just lazy conspiracy work to just always go back to this, like, the Jewish stuff. It's just lazy to me. We like, if you're gonna cook up conspiracies and have fun, fun conspiracies out there, you can't just, it's hack. It's hack to always just go back to the Zion shit. Um, there's far more interesting shadowy organizations out there that you could come up with than just like, oh, the Jews, because like all the Jewish people I've met have been awesome, except for like landlords I've had, but for the most part I've thoroughly enjoyed spending time with Jewish people. They're fun. um they know where like all the good delis are. They have like very strong opinions on pickles, which is right up my alley because I like pickles. Um, I'm a big fan of pickles. Um, Especially like, man, a good half sour. Come on, ain't nothing better than a good half sour pickle. It's crisp, refreshing, but still got that little twang in there. That's good. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to the Jewish people. I love Jewish people. Please, I guess if I'm trying to have any sort of career in media, I love Jewish people. Uh, I yeah. There's a lot of what's funny is there's a lot of Jewish people down south actually. There's Jewish people everywhere. It's the diaspora. It's like after the Holocaust, there was like they made an effort to like spread out so that in case anyone ever tried to do that again, like round them up, there was like a good scattering smattering of Jews everywhere so that they that couldn't happen again. um and so you see a lot of like in Texas actually a lot of like Jewish Mexicans even like I once met a guy whose name was Irving Gonzalez was his name. So it wasn't just the Nazis that went to Argentina. It was also a lot of Jews that came up into South America and worked their way up into Mexico and down and then up into the United States. And I had a Spanish teacher once tell us that that was the reason. I don't know if this is true or not. I'm not going to look it up, but she said that was the reason there's so much polka influence in Tejano music. Like if you live anywhere in Texas, there's tons and tons of Tejano stations. And what I was told, like, because a big part of Tejano music is accordion and like the sort of polka, like Weird Al influence in the music. And I was told that that comes from like all the like European like Jews who fled either like before, during, or after the Holocaust and came up through South America and then into Mexico and then into Texas and all that, that they all brought their accordions with them and brought that into mix that with all the music that existed, and that's how they created Tejano, which is a very very fun style of music. I like a good Tejano station. You don't get that up north. No, you gotta be down in Texas to hear the Tejano. The why they call that a what is that called? A grito? A gritas? Grito? I don't know. Yeah. Shit, man. Um, but yeah, I miss being a kid. I miss growing up in Texas. That was such a good time. What a fun place to grow up. Texas. You get to eat all the going to the stockyards as a kid. Oh my god, that's fun, dude. Getting to go to the rodeo and smell the horse shit in the air. Um, yeah, that's a good time. And then I don't know what happens to all of us. Like everybody who it's like when you're a kid, you know, you don't realize that like I have youth. I'm a child. This is fun. Like you're just always anxious and you can't wait to grow up. And then when you're growing up, you're miserable and wish you were a kid again. And so like you're never where you actually want to be in life. Like when you're young, you're fucking like suicidal even. Like every teenager is miserable and depressed and anxious and suicidal. And then when you're an adult, you're just like miserable and anxious and depressed and you wish you were that age again. But there's never like a moment of equilibrium where it's like, oh, I finally feel okay. It's either wishing you were, wishing you were there or wishing you were back here. Or, when I was there, I wish I was here. When I'm here, I wish I was there. Like the beginning of Apocalypse Now. that's what that's what it feels like to grow up. It's just like when you're a teenager, you're like, hey, this fucking sucks. I can't wait to grow up and get out of this. And then when you're an adult, you're like, man, this fucking sucks. I wish I was a teenager again. And you know, and then it just none of it ever feels good. It's just always a grind. and you always wish that there was something else happening. But even when even when you get the thing you want, that's not good enough, and you just lament the loss of your youth, and wish that you could go back to those days and enjoy them with the knowledge and maturity that you have now, without ever without ever realizing that you could start doing that now. You could just start enjoying life and appreciating it now and live the life that you want, rather than looking back into the past and wishing you could go back. You could just do that anytime in life, but we don't do that. We never exist here and now. It's either looking back or looking forward and hoping things will get better at some point. But the here and now fucking sucks. It always does. And maybe you know, that's life, I guess. Uh, all right. Hey, gang. Hope you enjoyed that episode of Lost in the Maze. I'm going to try something now. If you head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt, I will be doing a premium solo show that's a little bit different than Lost in the Maze. It's called Theseus, is the name of the show. Theseus is the premium solo show, and just head on over there to see what's up with that. So it's patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. That will be where Theseus episode 1 is going to be. That's the premium solo show. You can gain access to that and all the premium episodes of Corn-Fed and other stuff for as little as $5 a month. We also have $10 a month, $15 a month, $25 a month gets you access to everything plus the Corn-Fed decal, and then $35 a month gets you access to all of that plus pictures of my feet. But head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt for the premium solo show Theseus. Thank you.
After you've gone and left me crying, after you've gone, there's no denying. You seem blue, you feel sad, Mr. Never. There'll come a time, now don't forget it, baby. There'll come a time when you regret it. Someday, when you grow lonely, your heart will break like mine. You want me only after you've gone. Oh, there's